Hey everybody, this is Perch, and I've been traveling. I actually went about 2 weeks making no videos at all. I'd hate to say, I'd hate to say I missed it. This channel is kind of very mixed feeling at times. There's certainly happiness. I think that the vast majority of people listen to it, appreciate it, and get something out of it, even if it's just kind of mindless entertainment, something to kind of keep them company while they drive around, do some work, whatever it happens to be. And then you have those moments where somebody writes in kind of to express their feelings after a friend died of gun violence. And you get a number of people in the comments decide that, they make the decision that that is the perfect time to debate the Second Amendment, when somebody is grieving. So wait, I'll be honest, those are the moments that I won't miss. But I have this mail here, and this is in relation to the Marvel Unlimited Live virtual event. Now, one thing that's important to note about this event is that people believed it was a X-Men 60 Uncanny Years, which was the name of it. Certainly that was, and they had a number of big people there: Chris Claremont, Walt Simonson, Louise Simonson, just a lot of really great creators. Rob Liefeld was there, much to the chagrin of Twitter. Mark Silvestri, Jerry Duggan, for God knows what reason, Chris Claremont, as I mentioned earlier. But it was also on Marvel Unlimited. And the realization to me as I saw it is that it was as much an X-Men celebration, like 50%, as it was 50% hype for Marvel Unlimited, a service that Marvel continues to struggle with, even though there are plenty of services out there they could easily copy and figure out. Anyway, in this event, they announced a couple new books. Sort of. So they did say that there would be a new Hellfire Gala. We knew that. They'd say they were going to do a simultaneous cosplay Hellfire Gala in real life, which you could have seen coming. That very much, it makes sense. The comic that got announced was Uncanny Avengers #1 by Jerry Duggan, which is another X-Men Avengers mashup. A little bit about Fall of X. And we'll talk about more of that stuff later. But the other two books that were announced, and it's really important you remember this, they're Marvel Unlimited, meaning digital books. There is a Negasonic Teenage Warhead solo story, a single issue. And then there's another single issue for the, it's described as the trans LGBTQ Pride X-Men. So Grace Freud, who has an absolutely terrifying social media feed, seriously terrifying. Nudity where you do not want nudity. Anyway, it going to be published on Monday, today, basically. This video, I think, if I'm thinking right, we'll see my skills. It will be out Monday. No, Sunday. It'll be out tomorrow. There you go, tomorrow. But this will basically bring the team of queer young trans mutants from Marvel Voices Pride, the short story that Grace Freud also wrote. And Jubilee will be an unwitting mentor of this team that includes D-Man, Dennis Dumphy, Pity Girl, who can control minds with sad stories, Amphibian, who can freeze things thanks to an empty universe inside them, Good Arson, who can create and manipulate fire with his mind, and Face Shopper, who is a shapeshifter. And I think a couple of these mutants are non-binary. I don't know. It's an LGBTQT. I don't know. Anyway, team. And it prompted this mail, and it's short. It says, "Hey Perch, based on the announcements at the X-Men Unlimited event, do you think the X-Men is now forever an LGBTQ plus property? Is a series forever tied to LGBTQ plus stories?" The acronym, I wish they would just settle on, I wish them would just settle on a consistent acronym. Just go with something and then keep using it. You keep adding letters, adding symbols. Jesus Christ. I mean, just pick a lane. Anyway, or don't, whatever. And that's mail. So, do I think the X-Men is forever a property? No, but it's definitely leaned in that direction hard, and it's leaned in that direction from this idea or this notion that the X-Men were always outsiders, so therefore it was always an LGBTQ allegory. It's funny, you go back in time 20 years, and it was about civil rights and race. as an allegory, people who didn't fit in, etc. But it feels like it's been co-opted a little bit by the moments of the times. But this is, I guess the best way to put it is this is the stories that Marvel wants to tell right now. This is the editor and the people in charge. Just believe this is the fan base they want to play to. Now, the challenge in all this is, from a purely business perspective, that audience doesn't seem to come with enough cash to really make it viable long term. Now, it can continue to be kind of operated almost as a nonprofit for a while. I mean, it's not like it makes no money. People will sometimes post it's losing money. It's not losing money. The money that comes in, the units that are sold are profitable. But it is a long, long way away from when the X-Men was at its height. And I was catching up with somebody who was recently former Marvel, and she was saying that keep in mind that a lot of this got started not with the inclusion of different editors or people that want to push an agenda, but a lot of it got started when Disney bought Marvel, found out that the X-Men properties were part of Universal, and basically deprioritized them from a business perspective. It made the X-Men lineup, even though Wolverine and all that stuff's popular. It basically made, from a business standpoint, the comic and that line of characters the same as their in-story kind of characters, that they were outsiders. It was a hard turning the back away from the 90s where the X-Men were the dominant property of Marvel. Now they're kind of the niche. And that was a business decision. It's because Disney, Marvel wanted to promote the Avengers and the characters they had rights to and could shuttle into the movies. And so when you take a property that was once popular and you kind of deprioritize it within the company, a number of things happen. You start putting kind of your lesser talents on it. And quite bluntly, we saw that with editorial. The X-Men became not a destination place, but a place where editors would kind of prove their worth and then get promoted. And those that didn't get promoted kind of stayed, and there's a reason they didn't get promoted. And so all of this kind of circulated. The money wasn't always there. There was more experimentation done with writers and people with less skill, less background, less, less. This is just facts. And so if you add all those things up and then you pour 10 years on top of that, what do you get? Well, you get, people who are more on the fringe of the business, people who are making less money, people who will post things questioning capitalism and other stuff like they know what they're talking about. And, it's not a surprise that the X-Men leaned into this stuff. So is it unrecoverable? No. I mean, of course not. Somebody else sent me a mail saying, hey, there's a video on Thinking Critical saying DC was beyond recovery. I haven't watched that video, but it's absurd that anything is beyond recovery. Everything can recover. Everything can bounce back. It just takes time. It takes effort. And it takes at least the belief that you can make money at it. Iron Man was absolute dog shit at one point where Tony Stark had been made evil. There was a young teenage Tony Stark that was running around. It was a terrible comic. And then, hey, guess what? Disney determines it can actually make money and make movies off of it. And suddenly, stronger writers, stronger artists, people who are more talented start coming onto the book. And miracle upon miracles, it gets better. So, with the X-Men, let's see what happens in a couple of years. Is Disney going to go all in on the LGBTQ featured X-Men? Yeah, I know a lot of sites and posters would like you to believe that, but it's I think Disney, whatever you think of them, however much money you believe they're going to lose, they don't like losing money off Strange World. They don't like the controversy around Louder and Prouder. They don't like the fact that some of their land ownership and not having to pay taxes has gone away. They don't like all this stuff, so they would like to get back to the mainstream. I'm sure there are people in the company who, say, I don't care, I want to do what I want to do, but, the shareholders, the board, other people are going to expect that company to turn a profit. And so while the X-Men films and whatever they wind up doing with that may come out, and it certainly may be more, diverse, but the X-Men was always diverse is the thing. I mean, you have to go back a long, long time ago to when there were, the original 5, but for a long time, the X-Men has been diverse and had this kind of stuff. I really believe that when Disney starts going all in on the X-Men, it's going to look a lot more like, the Claremont, Romita Silvestri kind of mutant massacre type days. They're gonna do that. They're gonna push it a little bit more dangerous. It is not going to look like the Krakoa LGBTQ orgy days. I may be wrong, and I'll happily admit if I am. But at the end of the day, people, when there's real money at stake, things tend to change. So no, I don't think the X-Men's locked in this forever, but it clearly is now. But again, look at the books that are announced. This is a single issue in Marvel Unlimited, the service nobody cares about. And you could say, oh, it's testing the waters and everything else, just like we did 2 years ago when X-Men Green came out. But this stuff gets no traction. It doesn't go anywhere. Now they keep pumping it out because, again, nobody cares in that unit, or at least they don't care from a business perspective. They care for very different reasons. And as long as that's the case, we're going to continue to see, for lack of a better word, just messing around. But my belief is these things will ultimately shift. And I say it purely from the standpoint of they have before. I know that flies in the face of what a lot of people want to believe. And I mean, that's why you see people like Greta Thurman out there saying the world's going to end by 2023 and then having to delete tweets. Everybody wants to believe that, the big moment, the imminent change is right in front of them. The reality, though, for a lot of us living right now is that we're not going to see the big moments that happened in the past. We're not going to see, the World War II or the very first dropping of the bomb or other things. And we should be glad we're not around. We're not going to see those things. The idea that the entire Earth is going to collapse in a climate crisis in the next 5 years is absurd. History would tell you that. All of these dates that were thrown out, have not come to pass. But people were, for lack of a better word, optimistic because they wanted to be here for this end, this conclusion, this point of no return. That's where a lot of this stuff stems from. But, the reality is life's usually not as exciting as that. Anyway, feel free to misinterpret this video however you want. Look, the X-Men are clearly all in on it now. Do I think it's going to be that way forever? No. It would be amazing how anyone, almost anyone that writes in the comments could easily write their way out of the current storyline for this, for the John Kent situation. No, not him being gay. I mean, just the aging up. All of this stuff is reversible. If there's one thing comics have taught us is you can retcon and change anything. You could take a happy spider marriage that's existed for 20 years and you can undo it with a weird hacky story. So you don't even have to be a good writer to undo all this stuff. And I think money flowing in will do a lot of that. But we'll see. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for listening.